Welcome, everyone. My name is Shireen Shahawi, and I'm the Director of Sales and Marketing here at OceanView at Falmouth and for Cumberland Crossing by OceanView as well. This is an annual event we do, and we found that doing it on a Zoom can be very helpful because it's wonderful information that that I share with folks considering a move to OceanView or Cumberland Crossing year round. So that's why this is such a wonderful way for us to get this information out there. We have 4 veteran speakers with us today. They have joined us for many, many years and bring a lot of wisdom to this conversation, because I know in the seat that I'm in, folks that are planning their move, they're knowing that they might get a call from us about an opportunity, a different home on one of our campuses. A lot of things go through their minds. Many and all will be covered by our 4 guest panelists. And if you're joining this and you're not on our wait list and you'd like to know more about what that is, please always reach out to anyone on the sales team here at OceanView and we can explain how that works. But I suspect many people on this call are either preparing for a move to one of our communities or are on our wait list and just want to be prepped for when that call from us comes. We have 4 wonderful speakers with us today, and the way we're going to do this is have each one of them speak, one at a time, of course, and I'll ask you to put any questions you might have in that Q&A box at the bottom of your Zoom screen. And at the end of the presentation, I will, so that they don't have to keep an eye on that information, I'll just be posing those questions to them on the fly and asking them to answer them for us. And then we'll take time at the end as well to answer any more broad questions that have come up as a result of listening and thinking more during the course of the presentations. So let me just tell you quickly who we have, and then I'll introduce them again individually. But Liz Pattison is with us from Simply Sized Homes. Sandra Wendland is with us from Legacy Properties, Sotheby's International Realty. Jean Libby, who I've known for a million years, I think, from Bath Savings Institution is here with us. And Preston Hughes from Bisson Moving and Storage is here. I'll tell you a little bit about each one of them right before they speak. But I just wanted you to know who we have talking to us today. So it's how to downsize, how to sell your home, the financials around it, and how to move your stuff from there to here. So that's how we're going to sort of go through this. I'll ask everyone except Liz to turn off their video and they all have their sound off, so that's fine. But we'll start with Liz Pattison from Simply Sized Home. She's the co-founder of the company along with her sister, Kim Dorsky, and the company was born from the experience of helping their aging parents and with their very overwhelming attic is what I recall reading. And they understand that this task can feel daunting, but I will tell you, Liz and company do a fabulous job of making it more manageable. They take you through the steps, and whether you use their company or not, Liz is going to walk you through sort of, I think, how they address it. So if you want to do that on your own, you can, but certainly Liz is available for consultation after any time. So Liz, take it away. I'm gonna hide my face and mute my microphone, and I'll be back when there are questions.
Thank you, Shireen, Dustin, and Dawn. Thank you, OceanView and Cumberland Crossing. My sister, Kim Dorsky, and I started Simply Sized Home 12 years ago when my folks were actually moving. Dustin, you can switch to the next. So that's my sister, Kim, and myself. And we started out of seeing the need when my folks asked us to clean out our garage and our attic of stuff that was ours, that from school years, from college, and we had stored everything in their attic. And maybe some of you have the same situation. And my sister and I agreed to do it, and we ended up laughing and crying and reading, letters from camp and going through old yearbooks and stuff. And my mother asked, well, are you taking it all away? And we said, well, yeah, but we're taking it to our houses now. And so we were kind of like, this is a difficult process to go through. Folks are often moving from large homes that they have raised a family in, that they've collected years and years worth of stuff. And when it comes time to have to downsize, it is quite daunting. What do you do with all the stuff that you can't take with you? So Dustin, you can go to the next slide. So our services cover home downsizing, stuff management. What do you do with your stuff? Keep it, sell it, donate it. Moving management, which is packing boxes and actually hiring moving services to get you from point A to point B. Resettling services. Once you have arrived at OceanView or Cumberland Crossing, you have boxes and boxes of stuff. And we help folks by making their beds, setting up their kitchen, hanging their artwork, so that you can have a comfortable place to live pretty soon after your move. And we also help people prepare their homes for market, AKA staging. Next, please. How many people have rooms like this? I know I do. It's our attic. And, rooms like this happen because you don't have time, you don't have time to sort. So we often enter houses with at least one room that people just close the door. They can't face it. Next. So how do you start? A lot of people ask, I have all this stuff. I don't even know where to begin. We often start with sorting things. We try to get like things together. We empty closets, we empty cupboards, we empty boxes that have been stored in the basement for years and years. And there are two reasons why we do that. We like to get like things together so that you can see what you have and possibly what you want to bring with you. So the second reason why we like to sort things is because it helps our antique folks look at things and be able to determine if they are items that they can sell. So next slide. Our process is determining what you want to take with you. What do you want in your new home? It might be your favorite hutch, it might be a dining room table. We want you to identify the pieces of furniture that you would like to take, if at all possible. And we do that by going through the home and marking things. We often will use painter's tape just to give it a little mark to indicate that this is an item that you would like to take forward with you. Now, in some cases, you don't know if it will fit, and we can help you by measuring your furniture, going to OceanView, Cumberland Crossing, and measuring the rooms and determining if your beloved dining room table will actually fit. Next slide. We work with floor plans and determining, how many pieces of furniture can go into a room. We do this for not only determining what you can bring that will fit, but also in the moving process. It's very helpful to know where items will go and actually if they'll fit into a room. Next, please. In this case, it was an apartment that was being renovated. And the client was determined to bring a huge roll top desk. And it was supposed to go through that doorway that my sister Kim is looking into. Now, by going over and reviewing the space, we were able to quickly determine that that roll top desk was never going to fit through that doorway. So we averted a problem before it even happened. We had to find another place for that roll top to go in the apartment. Next, please. We work, so once you have determined what you want to take with you, it drops down to, are there children in the family that would like any of your furniture, any of your silver, china, artwork, anything in the house that you will not be taking with you? After that, what is done with the remaining things? Well, we work with auction houses, consignment shops, numerous donation sites in the Portland area to disperse and empty your house. In this case, we were having a piano removed by Starboard Pianos, and it was going to be sold. Next, please. This is a donation pickup. Furniture Friends was coming to pick up the furniture that was being donated. We also work with other donation sites like Habitat for Humanity. Next, please. Habitat comes to your house for free. We try to use services that will pick up for free. Our auction house picks up for free, as does the Restore Habitat for Humanity. So we don't want to have you pay for unnecessary delivery charges if we can find donation sites and auction houses that will pick up for free. Next, please. The dump guys are awesome. They always come to our jobs, the very end of jobs. Usually typical trash is mattresses. It's hard to donate mattresses, unfortunately. You know, air conditioners sometimes, broken refrigerators. There's always a trash haul at the very end of jobs, and the dump guys are just fabulous. Next, please. This is a picture of my sister packing some artwork. Once our folks have determined what they want to take with them, we have a full packing. We can pack everything, including artwork. Everything can be securely packed. We're bonded and insured. And so at this point, you know, we pack up all the stuff that is going with you. Next, please. This is just how we label our boxes. We always label from where they were packed in your original house and where they're going in your new home. This helps with cut down on you know, confusion when the movers are moving things into your new place. If it's adequately labeled, they will be able to be independent in putting those boxes in the correct rooms. It's one step closer to you being comfortably unpacked and settled. Next, please. This is a move day. It can be very crazy, chaotic. In this case, the couple had already moved out and they were moving south. We had been working with them for a few months. And as you can see in the background there, all the boxes that are packed. We had very, very clear instructions on, you know, what was being moved. And fortunately, it was a nice sunny day. Next, please. In this case, the movers had to be quite creative in getting out an enormous armoire from over a garage. It went in through that window and it came back out through that window. So, you know, it's not always straightforward, but our movers can always figure out a way to safely get it in and out. Next, please. This is one of our employees, Martha. She's resettling a client. We are unpacking, you know, dishes and getting the kitchen set up. We really try to do that on most jobs so that, you know, you can have a comfortable first night. Next, please. I am stocking the refrigerator, which is very important as well. Next, please. So staging, we do light staging. We are not considered professional stagers in that we don't have a warehouse full of couches and lamps, etc. We use the furniture that is in a home already. We will use your furniture. And we will declutter, etc., for you to make your house show ready. Sandra will address this a little bit more as the realtor, and we like to work closely with our realtor as they're the ones that know what people are looking for, what the market's asking for, and they're the ones that can really guide us on, you know, how a house should look when it's being put on the market. Next, please. This is an example of clean staging. In this case, you know, the counters are cleared off as much as possible, very few things. It's always nice to have some sort of a plant, you know, to bring life in. But it's very sparse. We want the new buyers to be able to imagine themselves there. Next, please. This was a case that there was a window that had been left open and it had caused water damage on the cushions. That would be a red flag to anyone that's looking to buy this house, perhaps, you know. Could be a roof issue. So what we did was had those covers replaced. Next, please. And it took away that concern of a roof being the problem when it had just been a window that had been left open. So sometimes there are easy cosmetic things that you can do that really makes it worth the cost. So this was an easy fix, fortunately. Next, please. Simply Sized Home is part of NASM, which is National Association of Senior Move Managers. And basically, it is a national organization that is for senior move managers. And so we're part of this organization, and it allows us to communicate with other businesses like our own around the country. So, for example, if someone is moving out of state and they need help unpacking, we can go to other people in this NASM organization and refer other people to help them on the other end of their move. So this is really a useful resource for us if people are moving out of state. Next, please. This is our team. It is a few years old. So now we have about 18 employees. We do have a mid-coast team for the Booth Bay area. So, and we're currently developing the southern area of the state. So we're very, very excited about our growth. Next, please. And this is our information. And we offer free consultations. So, you know, if you email this email address or call, we will get back to you within 24 hours. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Liz. That was great. I just have a couple of questions that popped up, or maybe a third one too. Does Simply Sized Home cover New Hampshire?
Yes.
That was easy.
We do. Sometimes if it's more than a couple hours of driving, we will stay overnight, but you know, we definitely do cover.
Excellent. And then this one was more for me, I guess. Will the webinar be recorded and available for replay later? Which is a great thing for me to let people know that yes, we do record this, and you will receive, if you were registered to attend, you will receive an email either later today or tomorrow that has a link to this recording. And then additionally, because we heard from some folks who aren't comfortable with Zooms, we are going to play the replay of this recording at OceanView. I think it's the 27th. I hope that's right, but that will go out. We're going to have it in our Hilltop community room and make it available for people who just want to come see the recording on the big screen in our community space. So yes. Oh, one more question and then we'll, two more. Who takes care of all of the empty boxes?
We do.
Yay.
Yay. That's part of our resettling service that we will unpack and take away. And if you decide to unpack your own boxes, you can give us a call and we'll come and pick them up.
Excellent. And then someone asked for average cost, which I'm assuming is a hard one to answer because all jobs are different. Yeah,
we charge by the hour, and we're $75 per person per hour. So you know, we always say if you have made the decisions, we know what to do. So anything that is sold at auction, consignment, or consignment is strictly between you and the seller. So we take no percentage of anything sold. We just charge by the hour.
Wonderful. Well, this was great, Liz. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
If you don't mind hanging around in case there are more questions at the end, sure, that'd be great. I'll have you turn off your stuff. But I just, one of my colleagues very thankfully reminded me, it's March 27th is when we're doing the replay here at OceanView, which is a Wednesday, and it's going to be at 1:30 in the Hilltop Lodge community space. So if there's anyone you wish could have watched this and you think they might enjoy coming to watch it here, we will have the replay here. But now it's my pleasure to introduce our next presenter, Sandra Wendland from Legacy Properties. We were talking earlier, she is both a real estate advisor and a realtor, because as she was telling me, this is sometimes it's a long process. It's not just I'm selling my house next month. It's I'm thinking about selling my house and what do I need to think through. Sandra is ranked in the top 1% of all realtors in Maine by the Maine Multiple Listing Service and by Real Trends as a top 10 producer amongst all individual residential real estate professionals here. So I know she's going to bring, she probably has the hardest job because her stuff changes every year. So she brings us some great data to understand what the real estate market is doing in our area. So Sandra, I'll let you take it away. I know yours typically runs a teeny bit longer, but I'll keep an eye on questions for you and I'll jump back in when you're ready.
Great. Well, thank you very much. And I'm actually going to share my screen and start the presentation. And as Shireen said, my information almost changes on a weekly basis. And so some of the data that you see is constantly changing. And the one thing I always like to share with anybody I work with is the real estate forecast is like the weather forecast. You can't have a national forecast of weather. You really have to look at it town by town and property type by property type. So I certainly welcome any phone calls after the presentation or emails if you would like to have a complimentary consultation. I'd be more than happy to work with you. Oops, I apologize. Here's my screen share here. Okay, can you all, let's see. There we go. So we're going to start off today. Shireen already gave me a nice introduction, so you kind of have a good sense of who I am and what I do. And as she shared, it's really important, especially for anyone looking to downsize or looking for that lifestyle change. This is a process. I've worked with folks from any time frame from 6 months to 5 years going through this process. And so, don't feel overwhelmed. It's pretty normal that people take some time to really start thinking about what their needs may be long-term, when's the right time to sell. So we're going to go into some detailed information. So the really great news is if you have owned a property in Maine or almost anywhere in the United States since 2019, Maine property values are up 79.3% since 2019. And that is a substantial number. The chart here also shows the map of the United States and state by state, how strong the real estate market has been. And the national average is up 63.5%. So you are some of the lucky folks that hopefully have been holding on to real estate, and it was a phenomenal investment for you. We're going to also take a look on the national level of what's happening year over year. If we look at March of 2023 compared to March of 2024, the median list price across the United States has stabilized. We're not seeing any increases. We're not seeing any decreases. We will get into Maine stats after this. New listings inventory is up 17.4%. So that means more people are starting to put their homes on the market, whether they feel that the market has hit its peak, or maybe they're just more comfortable with interest rates and where they can find their next home. But we are seeing this trend across the United States that more and more properties are coming on the market. Active listings are up almost 20% year over year. And interestingly, on the national level, not so true in Maine, but days on market, homes are actually selling 2 days faster than they were a year ago. We're going to move into what I consider my forecast for Maine. Home prices are forecasted to remain stable in Maine. We are kind of issuing a little bit of a caution because we are seeing more and more inventory increase much faster than we have the last couple of years. If this trend continues, we may see a little bit of a slowdown. Buyers are starting to adapt to the current realities of the real estate market. We did see some steep increases in interest rates last year. It did put on the brakes for some buyers as they were really outpriced in the market with, a 1% interest increase could have meant a $700 a month change in their payment. But interest rates are, stabilizing. And I think that buyers are starting to feel more and more comfortable with where the interest rates are. If we look back for the last, 10 years, we've been very spoiled, and interest rates, on a historical level have averaged about 6%. So we are really kind of falling into a norm now. And I always find these two charts super interesting. The one on the top left is the 30-year mortgage rates from 1971 to 2024. And you'll see then we hit, going into COVID, our interest rates were very low. We were even below, below 3% for many, many folks. And then we had this, trickle upwards. So if we start back to 2022 and we look at our increase in all the way up through 2023, we climbed. We've come back down. The speculation is by fall, interest rates will come down a little bit more, but overall, we are seeing buyers out in the market and a little bit more comfortable with these interest rates. all good news. So when we take a deeper look into Maine, I specifically pulled Cumberland County since we're in Cumberland County. Their median sales price is $510,867. This is a 1.1% increase from the same time period a year ago. We also have seen more closed sales, probably because we have that uptick in inventory. So we've seen an almost 12% increase in home sales, and our active inventory is up 22.4%. So as I was mentioning, we have higher inventory. There's a couple factors that I want to add into that, because we are seeing days on market and higher inventory increases year over year compared to some markets. A year ago, March, the first week of March, when I pulled the data, we had a big snowstorm and we had several feet of snow on the ground. And this year we have had spring-like conditions. So that has also caused more folks to bring their homes to the market a little bit earlier than they normally would have. And so I think that certainly skews that number just a little bit. But we are seeing an average days on market in Cumberland County of 28 days on the market, where, you know, I think everybody was used to seeing multiple offers and homes selling quickly. And our new listings are up 12.7%. So all interesting information, and it does vary town by town. You could be in Scarborough and you could be in Yarmouth and have completely different information. So this is where it's incredibly important that you speak to someone specific about your property, your market, and they really dial into that information for you. You know, I just kind of threw this in there just because I want you to understand that the consumer attitudes are definitely changing. I think homeowners are also changing their mindset, because it might be that you have a large family home and you've been thinking about downsizing for quite some time, probably right before COVID, and then your plans changed and you decided to sit still because you didn't want to buy another property in multiple offers, or you just weren't sure now where you wanted to go. Now that all that has cooled, buyers are out there, but sellers are also out there thinking, well, now I can accomplish my goal, or maybe I wanted to move south, or maybe I want to move to OceanView. So that's certainly plays a factor as to why more homes are coming on the market. And real estate, looking at it from an interest rate perspective, if you're financing, most of us are used to an average of 6%. You know, I was having a conversation recently with someone and I said, I remember the first condo I bought with good credit, my interest rate was 11%. So, you know, I think overall, we do expect interest rates to cool a little bit, but it is a good time to sell, and I think it will continue to be a good time to sell. The market might slow a little bit, but we all have gained, you know, tremendous equity in our homes. So some of the big market changes I wanted to address. During COVID, we were seeing buyers come into properties. They were waiving inspections. They were, you know, putting in cash. They may have been waiving appraisals. They were putting in language that if the house didn't appraise, they would come up with the extra cash. We saw prices, you know, on a $600,000 home go as high as $850,000 on the sales price. And, you know, that ship has sailed, but we have maintained our high level of pricing. And overall, there are some certainly good factors to take into consideration if you're considering selling a home. Knowing that home inspections are back, buyers, when they're putting in offers, are almost always asking for a home inspection today. And what that means, they usually ask for 10 to 12 days once they go under contract to bring in an inspector, have the home looked at. If there's anything that's wrong with your home, they then want to renegotiate whether the repairs get paid for by you or they reduce the purchase price. So one of the things that I highly recommend is having a pre-home inspection. And there are some great home inspectors that will come into your home roughly for about $500, $550, depending on the size of your home. They will prepare and do an entire inspection. They'll give you a great report. You can look over the report with your realtor, decide what's worth fixing, what's not worth fixing, or things that you just don't want to fix or can't afford to fix, and that's okay. And then you disclose that as well as provide the buyer with your home inspection report. So now you have a buyer coming into your home that feels pretty good about knowing the overall condition of the home. And there's some real benefits to that in the marketplace. We're back to seeing more and more homes being financed. Interestingly, in my company last year, of homes priced up to $1 million, 50% of our transactions were cash. And of homes priced over $1 million, 60% of them were cash. So although there's still a lot of cash in the marketplace, we are back to seeing more financing. And with financing, I always say, and I'm sure Jean will address it as well, it's really important that your buyer is working with a local lender. If they're not, you certainly as a seller have the right to state that you would like your buyer to be approved and go through a local lender. And it is something that can keep a lot of headaches away. So just something that's also important. With that, the lender also will order an appraisal. During COVID, we were seeing drive-by appraisals, even sometimes we were seeing appraisals waived. We're really back to having appraisers come to the property. So again, it's just one more little hiccup in the process of selling your home, but as long as you're well prepared, it will go very smoothly. One interesting phenomenon that's starting to come back are home sale contingencies. And that means that your home, the buyer of your home has another home to sell. So they're putting in an offer interested in purchasing your property, but it's contingent upon them selling their home. And you give them 30 or 60 days, whatever it may be. I expect to see more and more of these coming on later in the year as inventory rises, but it's really hard to say how that's going to play out in the year. It's just something that we're keeping an eye out for. Good news is for the properties that are in turnkey condition, that have been staged, they've had their pre-home inspection and they look phenomenal. We are still seeing multiple offers on those properties and at all price points. It could be a $400,000 property and it could be a $1.2 million property. So we're going to go into staging in just a minute, but the good news is there are still strong buyers out there. We're not seeing 10 offers, but maybe we're seeing 3 or 4, and those are all still very, very good. And as already discussed, we are starting to see that inventory increase. So today's buyer is typically on a budget, especially now with interest rates. So they know what payment they can afford. So they're looking to really make sure that the properties that they're seeking fall within their budget. And many of them are on tighter budgets than you would ever have imagined, because it's very difficult for buyers today they've been paying high rent to really save up a lot of money. So we're seeing higher percentages of financing, and that's really due to the overall economy. They are seeking move-in ready homes. They really don't want to hassle with repairs. They love turnkey, and many of them are working from home. So they still want to see that home office. They all want a guest space, and pet-friendly yards are still very much preferred for most of the buyers. They're also looking for lifestyle. So location plays a crucial role for where they're looking. It may be that they love to go to the beach and they want to live close to the beach or within 5 minutes. So Scarborough is the right neighborhood for them. Or maybe they have a boat and they need to be close to a marina. So the buyers, although the market has had limited inventory, they're still very much wanting to seek that lifestyle and that exact location that they've been seeking. And because buyers have been in rentals for quite some time now, if they've been what we have buyer fatigue, because they've looked the past couple of years and unsuccessfully have been unable to purchase a home because they've been outbid, they're used to paying their rent and they've settled into their rentals. They're eager to buy homes, but they're not going to settle for the wrong house now. So I find them to be a little bit choosier and wanting to make sure they get just what they're looking for. Buyers want to see move-in ready. They don't want to see anything broken, loose, rusty. They love fresh paint. They love the wallpaper removed, and a really deep clean is incredibly important. Well manicured yards. So if you're looking at putting your home on the market in the spring, or midsummer, it's always important to make sure that pine cones are picked up and leaves are raked and beds are mulched and things like that. That curb appeal, believe it or not, can make a nice impact on your overall proceeds at your sale. And a staged home, interesting, this is a new stat from National Association of Realtors, is that 81% of buyers say it's much easier for them to visualize themselves living in their home in a staged home. And it's primarily because we've, it might be that the majority of your items are out and it's fresh and exactly the type of furnishings that they would want to purchase. So visualization is certainly a key factor for many, many buyers. So the power of staging. This is a home that was recently staged. I had met with them in the summer months. We came to what we agreed upon was a reasonable price. And I said, if you stage it, I think we can probably go a little bit higher. They made the investment in staging. So again, you have one shot once you go on live onto the internet for people to either like or dislike your home. This is what the property looked at like prior to. So although the spaces are there, I'm going to just go back here. You can see how much more appealing it is once a home has been staged. The house overall looked so fantastic after it was staged that when the seller saw it, she was almost in tears. She said, I cannot believe this is my house. This was the best money I could have ever spent. In this situation, we staged a, let's see, 3 bedrooms, living room, dining room, sunroom, family room, and the entire basement. And it cost the seller about $6,700. It was all professionally done. The stagers did everything in a single day. After I saw it, I was so impressed that we decided that it was safe to increase the price by about $50,000. They were a little bit nervous about going up in price. However, with multiple offers, that property is going to close for $65,000 over the asking price. They were in multiple offers. They had a pre-home inspection, so nobody asked for inspections, and it was a real win. So there are absolutely proven benefits of staging a home. And, as the slide states, that there is a definite return of investment on staging a home. Pricing it correctly is important. So it's important to come up with a realistic price and then also look and say, well, if we stage the price, how much do you think we can sell it for? And, again, I don't have a crystal ball, so I never know if a property is going to go into multiple offers, but turnkey properties right now that, are staged go for a big number. I can share that this house had a ton of rot on the outside, and it was in need of an exterior paint job. We disclosed all that information. The seller went through and fixed some small electrical things and small plumbing things, and disclosed some other information, and every buyer was highly appreciative that they had disclosed everything, and the buyers knew what they were stepping into with a home purchase. So definitely worth looking at. Realistic pricing is also going to maximize your final sales price. We really don't want to see your home lingering on the market for 28 days. I know it might be the average right now, but to net top dollar, it's incredibly important that we price it right. Overpriced homes do sell roughly for about 14% less than had they been priced right to begin with. So that's also a big number to think about. And whenever you do have an offer in hand, make sure you're negotiating with the big picture in mind. We never want a seller to lose a deal over 1%. So I always say, keep your ego in check. But, with all the appreciation that most of you have in your homes, we certainly want to net you top dollar as well. And, every once in a while I get a seller that digs in their heels. And when they finally come to realization like, oh, I really should move forward with this, at the end of the day and at the closing table, they are so grateful that they, stuck with it and decided to work with the request of a buyer. So just some really important information. I didn't go into detail on marketing and photography and all that, but I can share it's really important to have somebody professional and have a professional photography and make sure any realtor that you work with is experienced because experience really does matter in the marketplace. With that, I just wanted to share with you, I welcome any phone calls, emails. If you've got questions, if you'd like a buyer consultation, I'm really here to help you through the process. If you're out of state, I can certainly, I would love to still speak with you. I network with Sotheby's brokers all across the country. And there's a good chance I might know somebody in your market that I could connect you with that would give you the same benefits that I would be able to give you. So with that, I conclude my presentation and open it up for any questions you all might have.
Thank you so much, Sandra. That was just so interesting to hear. I mean, as we discuss a lot, it's just so volatile. You just never know what's going to change or be different. But a few questions did come through for you. So let me shoot those to you right now. One was, how long does it take for you to come out and visit a property if you were to get a call from someone?
It depends on where you're located and when you call me. Usually I can get out within the week, sometimes sooner. My weeks are changing constantly. So if 10 of you call me today, chances are I'm not going to see 10 of you in the next 3 days, but I do try to get out to see people as quickly as I can. And it really depends on your schedule. Sometimes people have a tight schedule. I do very happily go and see people on the weekends, Saturdays, Sundays, and evenings as well, if you're still working and that works best for you.
Awesome. Next question. Are lakefront properties selling faster or slower than average?
So the lake market has changed quite a bit, and I can share with you that I also own a lake property and I watch that market very, very closely. It really depends on what lake you're located at, the condition of your property, and that is one that I would say, give me a call. I track many lakes, and I've got stats all the way back to 2010 on multiple lakes in the in Maine as to what's happened with the market and where they're moving.
Wonderful. And then the last question we'll ask is, what exactly is a pre-home inspection for? The seller or the buyer or both? And after a home inspection, do you have to release the entire report to a prospective buyer?
Great question. So I would say that the pre-home inspection is for both. And what happens is you have a home inspector that comes out. I always attend the home inspection, so I know exactly what's going on. And if I have any questions or if the inspector, maybe I have information from you, and I usually say to the seller, you're welcome to attend it as well. And what happens is you do get a detailed report. So once you have knowledge of any information, you do have to disclose it within the state of Maine. Maine is a unique state in which your property disclosure, it's 7 pages, and we ask you lots of questions. The realtor is equally responsible for what's on your property disclosure as you are. And if you have any knowledge, you need to disclose it. What happens in Maine is once you close on the property, that property disclosure still has a life of 7 years. So in the event, maybe we'll use a basement flooding as a good example. If your basement had taken on water in the time frame that you owned it, but maybe the home inspector didn't note it, but your neighbor knew that you had water in your basement and you don't put that on your property disclosure. And 3 years after a new buyer has purchased the home, and they go and tell the neighbor, oh gosh, I got, all this water in my basement. And they go, oh yeah, they've had that problem for years. They're going to come back and sue you. So it's always important. I say disclosure is the best policy. Anything you can know about the property to disclose is always in your best interest. As for the buyer, it is important for the, if you're doing a pre-home inspection, you are giving the entire report. If you choose to only give part of the report, it will certainly come across that you're trying to hide something. And what we're after is full transparency.
There's one other question, but we'll do it maybe at the end. So that we can get to Jean, if you don't mind hanging with us till the end, Sandra, that'd be great. Now I get to introduce my friend Jean Libby, who I think I said earlier on, I've known for what feels like a million years. Full disclosure, Bath Savings is my bank and I'm a raving fan. I know for a fact that they take really good care of our residents and also our future residents. Certainly if you have a favorite bank, you stay with your favorite bank, but I have all good things to say about Jean and Bath Savings, and she'll tell you a little bit about the financial side, which is one of those things that gets asked a lot as people are thinking about their transition to OceanView or Cumberland Crossing. So Jean, I'll let you take it.
Good afternoon, and thank you to Shireen and everybody at OceanView and Cumberland Crossing for having us today. As Shireen mentioned, my name is Jean Libby, and I'm the Vice President, Senior Retail Lender here at Bath Savings, right down the road from OceanView. This afternoon, I'm going to share with you some financing options to help you with your move to OceanView. Dustin, go ahead and move to the first slide. When talking about financing, you are looking for a loan that's going to bridge the gap from the time that you move to OceanView and when you sell your home. A couple of things to keep in mind as you get started on your move to OceanView is finding a financial partner. You're looking for a short-term loan that's collateralized by your current primary residence or your second home. You'll want to check to make sure that the credit union or bank that you are chatting with offers loan products even if your home is on the market. In my experience, some do and some will not finance a property if it's on the market. Next slide, please. The first option would be a home equity line of credit. This would be a line of credit based on the equity that you have in your home. Banks usually lend 80 to 95% of the value of your home minus your current mortgage, if there is one. If you are on the waiting list or just beginning talks with OceanView and Cumberland Crossing, this is a great loan to get in place. So when you get that call from Shireen, letting you know that there's a property available, your financing will be all set to go. You do not pay any interest until you've started using the line of credit. Once advanced, in most cases, you will be obligated to pay an interest-only payment until your home is sold. Rates are variable, indexed with the current prime rate set by the Federal Reserve. Usually the draw period is 10 years, or if you sell your home, whichever comes first. There are closing costs associated with a home equity line of credit. Value will be determined by a real estate appraisal or an evaluation, depending on the amount that you are requesting. Home equities are a mortgage on a primary and second home, and a mortgage is recorded at the Registry of Deeds. The current turnaround time for this type of a loan is about 3 to 4 weeks. Next slide, please. The next option is a traditional bridge loan. There are some differences between a bridge loan and a home equity line of credit. The maximum term for a bridge loan is 1 year. Funds are fully advanced after the 3-day rescission period. Rates are still adjustable based on the prime rate. Turnaround time is a little bit longer at 4 to 6 weeks. And debt is fully paid off when your home is sold. Or if it hits maturity, we would request that those funds be paid off, that the loan would be paid off with other funds that you may have. Next slide, please. Just some other tidbits about a home equity loan or a bridge loan. Regulations affect all banks. So if you are looking to do financing on your home and you need an appraisal done, please reach out to your bank or credit union so that they can order the appraisal for you so it can be used for your loan request. If you order an appraisal, unfortunately, we are not able to use that report as it was completed for you and not on behalf of the bank or the credit union. If you are looking to borrow $400,000 in one penny or more, this will require a full appraisal on your property. If you're borrowing $400,000 or less, there may be other options to determine value at a lesser cost. If you're using your primary home as collateral, there is a 3-day right of rescission before the funds are available. The 3 days, which are business days, gives you the option to back out of the loan request should you want to do that. But this is a 3-day rescission period cannot be waived unless you have a bona fide medical emergency. So the 3 days, if you were to close on a Monday, your funds would be available on Friday. I always remind my customers of this, especially if things are, if you have a tight timeline on when the funds need to be available for your deposit at Cumberland Crossing or OceanView. Also remember, from bank to bank, your rates, your closing costs, your products, your timeline will vary. So you just want to check with your financial partner to ensure that they are able to assist you. Next screen, please. I've provided here a short list of items that you may need to gather for your application with your financial partner: tax returns and 1099s, recent pay stub if you're still employed, and along with W-2s, your Social Security and pension award letters that you so we can know what you're going to receive for those income sources, legal description of your property, retirement, investment, and bank statements, contact information for your homeowner's insurance. We just need to make sure that you have adequate insurance, and we also need to be listed as a loss payee on your property. Proof of owner's title insurance. This will be needed if you've never had a mortgage on your home. Owner's title insurance would have been obtained when you purchased your property. And again, some lenders will require some additional documents. You just need to check with your financial partner. Next slide, please. When you go to apply for a loan, your lender is going to be reviewing your credit history. So if you have any type of credit freezes on your credit, you'll want to make sure that those are released prior to completing an application. They're going to want to make sure that your income is sufficient to make those monthly interest-only payments as needed. They're going to make sure that you have some assets to rely on should your income be interrupted. And then they're going to want to make sure that the collateral is sufficient from your primary or second home to cover the loan amount that you've requested. Next slide, please. So far, we've talked about products that are supported by real estate. There are other options out there. They're not as common, but they are an option to you. You may be able to obtain a bridge loan using your investment portfolio. This is a great option if you don't want to liquidate your assets because of tax or capital gain implications. But you would want to reach out to your financial advisor to see if the company offers these options. This process can take a little bit of extra time, so you want to get them on board early to find out if it's something that they're able to do. Some banks and credit unions do offer stock secure loans, but again, I would have you talk to your financial partner to see if this is something that you offer and what the time frame is. Retirement funds are not an option in this scenario as they cannot be pledged for a loan of any type. So if you have 401ks or Roth IRAs, any other retirement funds, those could not be pledged. Screen, please. As you've heard from the other presenters this afternoon, it's important to find people that you can rely on to help you through this process. And I'm going to echo that statement as well when it comes to finding a financial partner. Loan options that I have spoken about are not uncommon, but you certainly want to talk to someone that has an understanding of what your needs are. A great place to start is a financial institution that you currently bank with, or a local bank. A bank that understands, again, the time frame and the products that you are looking for. Make sure the lender that you choose can lend in your market area / state where you reside and where the property is located. So, for example, a community bank such as Bath Savings and some of the smaller banks in our community here in Falmouth, we're only allowed to lend here in the state of Maine, where your larger banks do have other resources and other branches outside of state. And we may need to refer you to those banks as an option if you have an out-of-state property. Again, make sure your financial partner understands the process, your timeline clearly, so that there's no last-minute surprises. Know that the mortgage cannot be taken out on your new property at Cumberland Crossing or OceanView. This would have to be either on your primary second home or an investment portfolio. And make sure that you tell them if your home is currently on the market. Next slide, please. So to conclude, I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have. Also, if you have specific questions related to you, I have provided my contact information and can speak with you privately about your particular financial picture. And I want to thank OceanView and Cumberland Crossing again for having me this year again. And it's been a wonderful event. And again, please feel free to reach out to me should you have any questions.
As Jean and I discussed before, when we had our little practice session before our start today, we both recognize that a lot of questions for Jean are probably more private than not. I had one just because I was curious. It occurred to me when you were talking, which is the $400,000 limit. Is that a BSI? Is that a Bath Savings rule, or does that typically across the board with all banks and credit unions?
That's typically across the board. That's where it falls under regulations. We all have to follow the same regulations that are set forth for us. So that's kind of the benchmark in order to order a full appraisal, or maybe an evaluation that may cost a little bit less.
I know we recently had a new resident who needed $450,000, but didn't have the time really to go through that. So they found the $50,000 perhaps with their securities. I can't remember where it came from, but it was so that they could work with you directly and have that $400,000 cap. I do recall that. So I don't have any other questions except one that's more broad here, and I might need Dustin to chime in. He just answered for me. Good. I sent him a little message. Will the slides be available afterwards? And the person said it's great information, and yes, they will. So we will send out an email blast to everyone who registered for this event, and it will have a link to a YouTube location where this recording will live, but we'll also, I guess, Dustin will probably add links to all the PowerPoints as well. So you can access the PowerPoint decks separately from the recording. So that will happen. Jean, thanks again so much.
Thank you so much.
I'm so glad to have you here. And we'll have you turn off and mute and all that stuff. And if you don't mind hanging around till the end to see if any other questions come through, that'd be great. But now I get to introduce Preston Hughes from Bisson Moving and Storage. And Preston is a certified moving consultant, but I love reading about, he's a third generation in his family to work in this business. So I love reading that you used to play in the warehouse and all that stuff, Preston, but I'll let you take it away. To, getting your stuff here or to Cumberland is a big deal, and it can be very, can drive people a little nuts, I know. So I know you give some great advice, so I'll let you take it away.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Shireen, and thank you, Dustin, and everyone tuning in today. Appreciate you sticking around. I've got a little presentation today about moving. It's, all these different aspects of your new home are stressful: buying, selling, financing, downsizing. getting everything there and placed is kind of the final piece of the puzzle. And, you know, we're all well versed in what goes into it and make sure that it goes as smooth as possible for you. So the way I kind of like to do it is, you know, I'm biased. I think we're the best moving company, but there's a lot of different moving companies out there. And so I kind of try to use this as a guide and an overview about moving and kind of what to look for when hiring a moving company. And I view myself as a resource to people that are relocating. And I do this day in and day out, and I have a lot of knowledge and objective opinions that I would be happy to share with anyone. I've had people send me estimates from other companies just to take a look at them, that sort of thing. So I'll share my screen and start my PowerPoint here. All right, perfect. So first of all, just a little background about Bisson. We were founded in 1919 in Bath, Maine by Bisson. He had a horse-drawn wagon and just moved stuff around from the port to people's houses, and then started doing household relocations. Today we have over 75 vehicles throughout the US and Canada to meet all of our customers' relocation needs. We're an award-winning agent for Atlas Van Lines, which is one of the largest household goods haulers in the country. Being an agent for Atlas plugs us into a network of agents around the country. So there's around 400 agents, and they're all independently owned and operated, but we're part of the same van line. So if you're moving from California to Maine, I have resources in California that I can connect with that can help us pick up your goods or help with packing. And it goes the same on this end, where they would contact us to help with the delivery. And everyone has the same set of standards that they have to adhere to. So it gives a lot of peace of mind for us when we're planning a relocation, that we have a huge amount of resources around the country. And we have 2 local offices in Maine, one in Westbrook and one in Brunswick. All of our employees are background checked very thoroughly. All of our moving consultants are certified as certified moving consultants with the American Moving and Storage Association. And we also have a set of values that we have to adhere to. Bisson is a stable asset-based company with over 100 years of success in the moving industry. I say asset-based because there's a lot of moving brokers out there that do not have their own trucks or equipment, and it's a few people in a strip mall basically selling moves. So being asset-based is an important thing to note. You have a dedicated customer service team and a dedicated move coordinator. After hours availability if you need help. I know my phone rings quite frequently. People are stressed about the move or have questions, and we're here to help make it as easy as possible. We've got just over 90,000 square feet of heated warehouse space for your household goods. So if you do need storage while your new home is being built, we can accommodate that as well. And our motto is service you can trust from people who care, which I think is very true. And everyone does care about our customers and their belongings, and we work hard to maintain that trust with them. So when you're choosing a moving company, the first thing I recommend is to just ask your friends or family, or someone that you know that has moved or is moving. That's kind of, I think, the best place to start. And you'll get honest feedback from them, so they can say, yeah, they were great, or no, they weren't, yada, yada, yada. Check in with references, ask the mover for references. They should be able to give you a few names of people that they moved recently. That's not, unheard of, and it's pretty reasonable request. You can check online reviews, the Better Business Bureau. And sometimes if if all the reviews are glowing and they're short, and you just want to look into it a little bit more, and there's more to it than just the online reviews. So don't be afraid to take your time and dig into it a little bit. And I recommend getting 2 to 3 estimates from reputable companies in a major van line if it's like an interstate move across state lines. The smaller companies are fine, but the 3 larger van lines, 4 van lines that you can choose from, their estimates should all be pretty comparable, and that's the best way to go. And you would want to do an in-person or video survey of your goods to make sure that your estimate is accurate. Just to toot our horn a little bit, we were recently voted the best mover in Maine for the best of the 207. So we're very proud of that and look forward to doing it again next year as well. So I mentioned moving brokers already. They, if you type into Google long distance move and you click on the first thing that comes up, it's most likely going to connect you to a moving broker. And they are gonna, they pressure customers and they try to do a quick walkthrough. They underestimate the size of your move. If you look into them a little bit, you can usually find that they're headquartered in Florida with some generic name like American Movers or something like that. They're gonna push you for a non-refundable deposit, and they can tell you that it is refundable after a certain number of days, and then they won't answer the phone. So that's their main focus, is to get your deposit, and then you cancel the move. They are not the person that's going to be moving your goods. They sell the job and then they find someone that will do the job. And the problem with that is that the mover that shows up to do the job was told that it is, say, 5,000 pounds, and he pulls up in a truck and it is actually 10,000 pounds because the broker just got a low price and you booked the job. The mover is not going to do your job without collecting more money, and it is a lose-lose for everybody except for the broker. So it's something to be wary of. You can look at the DOT has a website where you can look up their DOT number or motor carrier number, and you can see if they have any vehicles in their fleet or not. They'll be listed if they're a broker, and that's your first red flag. But again, they're very pushy and they try to take advantage of people. So and they'll call you incessantly. And sometimes they don't even show up on the day that they said they would, or at all. And there's really nothing you can do at that point. And it's incredibly predatory, and they give the industry a bad name. So just be wary of that. So I mentioned the moving survey earlier. There's a few different tools that we use. And it's the first step basically in getting your estimate. And we call it a survey, but it's essentially surveying what's being moved. So we would do a walkthrough of your home, estimate the packing, what furniture is being moved. And the moves are based on the weight. So it's how you get the estimated weight, or any special services you might need, like have a piece of exercise equipment disassembled, or a specialty crate built for a marble tabletop, that sort of thing. So we can do an in-home walkthrough with you. If you're moving from out of state, we can also plug into that Atlas network and have an agent come to your house on our behalf. They'll do the walkthrough with you and send us the survey results. So that's an option. Things have changed in the past 4 or so years since COVID. So video and FaceTiming is a great tool as well, and it has really enabled us to help people around the country get their surveys done quickly, and connect right with me. We do the walkthrough together, and then you get a copy of the inventory, and if there's any discrepancies, we can update it. But I'm pretty accurate with them, and I'm not usually seasick anymore, so that's good. And then the last one that we have is called it's a program called Yembo, and we can do a smart consult, which is where I would do the walkthrough with you again over the video, or you can do a self-survey, and you basically take your phone, walk through your home and slowly scan each room, and it uses AI to detect the images and identify them. So you can see here, this customer went through their house and just panned around, and it's color coded. So that yellow dot is a small cabinet, the green one's a plant stand, etc. And it calculates the weight. And I go back through and double check it because I still don't trust the AI, but then you get a printout of the pictures and everything. And it's really been a neat tool to use, and people really like that. So if you have trouble connecting, you can do that on your own time, and it's really handy. So yep. And then for packing, there's a few different options that you can do for packing. If you want us to take care of the packing for you, it's called a carrier pack, CP. So we'll pack all the pictures, the cabinets, contents of the shelves, closets, anything that would fit into a box. And any damages that resulted in your move are covered with the full value protection. Partial pack, some people have us just pack the fragile things, the kitchen, complicated pieces that are difficult to get into a box. And then they pack things like shoes or books, that sort of thing. And then a pack by owner is where you take care of the packing yourself. And the mover is not responsible for damages to items in those cartons, because obviously we don't know the condition of the items prior to being packed. So that's kind of the only downside to that. But obviously, depending on what your budget, obviously the full pack would be the most expensive option. Partial is kind of in the middle. And then the biggest cost savings would be the pack by owner. Best practices for do-it-yourself packing: get extra materials, buy more than you think you'll need. I know U-Haul will take back unused boxes, so you can kind of start on the heavy side, and if you don't need them all, you can take them back. You always want to pack the heavy items into small boxes, larger items like linens or lampshades into the large boxes. Label the top and the sides of the carton with your last name, the registration number, the room, and kind of a general description of the contents. A lot of people just write on the top of the box, but when they're stacked up 4 or 5 high, you have to lift each box to see what's written on it when you're unloading. So as someone that has been moving for several years, definitely write on the sides. It'll make everyone's life easier. Should have a dedicated parts box for things like the remote controls, screws for the bed, wires, things like that. And then I recommend buying actual moving boxes. Using liquor boxes and egg cartons, that sort of thing, are not ideal for it. And it's, you know, the boxes are relatively cheap and they stack uniformly, and that's what they're made for. And the last one, of course, is just let us take care of it and make your life a lot easier. But either way, if you do need storage on this end, or actually wherever you're coming from, we can use agent storage in other states as well. But everything is inventoried. We store them in these wooden boxes called vaults. They can be loaded and unloaded directly from the truck, so that it limits the amount of handling needed. All your furniture is pad wrapped and well protected while it's in storage. We can give you a tour of the warehouse if you'd like. Come check it out. And it works for short or long-term storage. It's not like a self-storage unit is better suited for if you had like your snow tires or lawn chairs in there and you were gonna come and go. This is kind of better suited for the longer term storage options. You can access your goods, but it just has to be planned ahead of time, and it's a little more complicated than pulling up and opening the door. There's 3 different types of estimates that we offer. The first is a non-binding estimate, and the final price is based on the actual weight and services provided. So actual number of cartons, actual weight, and that's compared against the estimate, and that's what the final price is based on. The binding estimate is you're quoted X and the final price is X, regardless of the actual weight or packing. Some people like that peace of mind, and the the third option is called an assured price protection estimate, and that's also commonly known as a not to exceed. So that one kind of has the best of both worlds. It's bound to not exceed the price that you've estimated, but it can be less than what was estimated. So it's really the best option in terms of protecting the customer. They have confidence in their pricing, and if they do a little bit more packing or get rid of some items, the price would be adjusted down. So that's that's always a good option. And when you should start planning your move, it's changed a bit over the past few years. The past 2 years that we've been booked out months ahead of time. And in the summer, that's still true. But I usually say once you start planning to sell your home or thinking about selling your home, you can just reach out and have a conversation, understand the timeline that you're looking at. In the summer, yeah, we book out pretty far in advance. But it's helpful to have an estimate done early, and we can always make adjustments to it as you get closer to your actual move date. And we don't have any cancellation fees or deposits required, so it's pretty low commitment basically, but it's better to have a plan in place early. And if you'd like to send me an email, if you've stuck around this long, I'll send you a complimentary Go New Places moving kit. Has a moving checklist, some labels like fragile, load last, that sort of thing. It has a moving brochure and a nice folder to keep everything organized for your move as well. And yeah, I really appreciate everyone sticking around, and happy to help with any follow-up questions or anything that comes up afterwards. So thank you very much.
So Preston, I think the one question that came through, I think you answered in one of your last slides, was how far in advance, how much time do you need to plan an out-of-state move? And it sounds like it's when you're talking about putting your house on the market or whatever you're doing, that's probably the right time, 2 to 3 months or longer if it's summertime, right?
Some people are big planners, and I had a guy call me in September of this past year. And we just loaded him in Colorado last week, and he's coming into storage tomorrow. So we've been planning his move for a while, and but again, some people are more planners and they want everything lined out ahead of time. And every time he calls, I answer the phone, and he's called me a lot in the past 6 or so months, but his move went off without a hitch, and his planning and preparation certainly helps with that.
That's awesome. That's great. I'll invite our other presenters to come back on, because I do have a question for Jean, and that was, how far in advance should the banking arrangements be made? And I think you alluded to it a little bit, Jean, but do you have a rule of thumb you would share?
I would say if you're doing a home equity line of credit, it's never too early to get that in place. If you're on the wait list with either Cumberland Crossing or OceanView, I suggest, getting things moving, ahead quickly, because you never know when Serene's going to give you a call and say that there's a property ready, and you certainly, want to make sure that your finances are in place to take that level of stress, off you. So it's never too early.
That's always my fun day when I get to make those calls. And then Sandra, you sort of called it, how does the recent lawsuit affect sellers' receipts? Oh, you're on mute. There we go.
What I can say is, in Maine, the good news is I feel that Maine's been doing this right for a very long time. I have been in real estate since 2003. I started in Massachusetts, where what we call buyer agency was in place. I moved to Maine in 2007, and buyer agency had just been adopted in Maine. And what that means is, if you're working with a buyer client, you have a signed buyer agreement. Interestingly, there's only about 10 states across the country that has adopted this practice. And so Maine's ahead of the curve when it comes to what's really happening in this lawsuit. What the lawsuit it essentially states is that they're, and what I won't say what it states. What it's really looking for is better transparency across the board with realtors and the consumer. So, you know, it might slightly change the way we do things in Maine. It's too early to know. You know, things were just out as of Friday, and we don't know how the Maine will adopt any changes because it is so early. But, you know, how it will affect business practices in Maine is going to really be due to how Maine brokerage law impacts all of this. So I think it'll be a matter of time. In the next couple of months, there'll be some interesting changes from the buyer's perspective. One question I have been asked, and this Jean might want to jump in on this, but lenders are not allowed to finance paid commission for buyers. So this could be a big consumer shift. And also the VA does not allow for any veterans loans. So I think the Department of Justice, VA, Freddie and Fannie, and all the banking institutions are going to have a little bit of work to figure this all out in the upcoming months. But because Maine's been doing things the right way from the get-go, I would say, I don't expect to see any major changes here.
Wonderful, thank you. And then this is almost a commercial for you, Liz. Just one of our viewers wrote that how much you helped her parents on a move that they did recently, and now you're helping them move again to Cumberland Crossing. And
I know
they're just saying,
did.
yeah, they're just saying what a wonderful help it's been, and it's helping her with her stuff.
Yeah,
it's helping her think through her stuff. But I want to say to all of our presenters, there have been lots of little notes that have come through thanking you. All of you gave such wonderful information, and that is echoed in the notes that I've seen, and I can't thank you enough. This is a huge event for us because it really does become a tool year-round for our department here at OceanView and Cumberland Crossing, because this information just is what people are looking for and hungry for when they're making that decision after they get the call from Shereen. So thank you all so much. And again, if anyone has any questions about OceanView or Cumberland Crossing, I hope you'll reach out. And I hope too that you'll reach out to these wonderful presenters if you have more questions to follow up with. But thanks again, everyone. We'll see you next year, I bet. We appreciate you very much. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you
you
so much. Bye-bye.
Bye.